So the stuff that was sent through yesterday was sick.
It was so good.
It's so unbelievably good. I can't wait to hear back from more musicians.
Yeah, me too.
It's going to be so good. So later, actually, in about an hour's time, I've got a conversation with a guy called Ben.
All right.
And Ben is a metal guitarist from they're a fairly good little indie metal band. And Vicky put me in contact with them. But he's down to play some metal on our tracks, essentially. Oh, we've got a little listener thing.
What's this musical you're talking about? Hint, hint.
Oh, thanks, Rosanna.
Whoa!
Whoa! It's like she can read our minds.
It's almost like she's your wife.
That was really funny as well, because when I was having a chat with a guy earlier on the first one of these, Rosanna downloaded the app without me realizing and called into that thing. And I was like, what the heck? Suddenly she just appeared in the middle of our chat. And I was like, what the heck happened?
Amazing. So this musical. Let's
Viking fight musical.
Viking fight musical, symphonic metal. Should we go back to the start?
Go back to the where?
To the start.
To the start. Yeah, I mean, if you want to chat about how it came to be.
I think so. Why not?
Well, let's start before the beginning, because before there was Blóðlína, there was you and me.
There was.
And it was you and me in stage combat, making some stuff and doing some fights.
Yeah, I think where it all started is when we started having donuts and watched Treasure Planet. I think that's where it all started.
I think it started before that. I think it started when we sat together, you and I, after everyone else had gone home to bed, and carried on watching the Hamilton thing, and we just chilled in the common room in uni halls, and we were in our onesies, and it was like the end of the first term of first year, and we were just geeking out over Hamilton.
Yeah, because that was our that was after Secret Santa, and I'd found a bootleg version of Hamilton. So we were like, hey, should we watch? Because obviously this is before Disney Plus. This is like, what, 4 years ago now? Oh, 4 years, man. Anyway. And yeah, so we played like a bootleg version of Hamilton. And yeah, we just kind of just hang out for a bit. We're like, this is fun. And then after that, we started doing the stuff in second term with Stephen, and we started making, as you played earlier, Should I Care?
Yeah,
and we made that.
Our little group crammed into my student hall room. Just everyone sat on my bed with guitars and things and writing some stuff. It's good fun.
Yeah, I think I found that. Do you remember that video we did where it was like the bitch?
I'd forgotten about that.
I found it the other day.
Oh my gosh! You should send it.
I'll send it to you later.
Yeah.
But
so we started our friendship started around about then, and we just enjoyed each other's company, I guess. Because we carried on like hanging out with each other, watching Treasure Planet with donuts, like you said. And then I think it was after the Bro Duet, wasn't it, where we started making stuff ourselves, like you and me.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Because I remember being involved in some stuff that you were making.
Yeah. We started kind of doing original stuff because obviously when we started doing Midsummer and Titus, you did the original scores for Shakespeare's, and then I started doing the what's it called? The not Gamelan, what am I thinking of?
The Con. Yeah. Like we started working together on Midsummer, and then things progressed even further. We did the Bro Duet when we sang together, and then as it came into third year, we just found working with each other even more and more and more.
Yeah.
And then it came to our final show, and I think this is where the conception of Blóðlína kind of came into being, because we wrote a rap battle small sword fight.
Yeah.
Which is still insane to me to this day.
I watched it the other day and it still holds up. It's great.
It's so good. Like, I hate to blow my own trumpet, but like that was sick. What we managed
It
to
was
do
awesome.
was just so cool. I loved it. Oh, so that's kind of where I think our ideas about can we set fights to music? Can we do rapping whilst fighting? Can we do all these sorts of things and do stuff that people expect us not to put together? And does it work?
Yeah. Because I think that's the key element of it, and why, not why people are impressed by it, but people are surprised that it does work and you can do it. Because it is the same. It's the same as, and it's just as impressive as dancing and singing at the same time, because it's still doing an exercise while trying to maintain singing whilst exerting yourself.
Well, yeah, it's choreographed movement, isn't it? Essentially, if you boil it down, it's aggressive choreographed movement.
And when we were in training, we were always said that choreography is like a dance. And I think we kind of took that a bit too far. I'm like, right, it is a dance. Let's put it to music and sing at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, because as a musician, I always used to take some stuff that Gordon, our fight teacher, used to say about the rhythms of the fight and how we needed to break those up so that it wasn't just hit, 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 hit. It was hit, hit, and dodge, and, and these rhythms are all over the place. And musically, I found a great deal of interest in that. And so I think when we did that first test, what I was trying to see was, can I set the rhythms of fights to music? And we figured out, yes, it works. And yes, it looks sick. So we should carry this on. And then from there, I think I kind of flipped my perspective when I was composing the music for Blóðlína and seeing, okay, so we can set the rhythms of fight to music, but can I set music to the rhythms of a fight? And see what that comes up with and how that might play into it. And I think that's kind of like where the concept, just as a general broad brushstrokes, came from.
Yeah, because I remember, it might have been second year when you came up to me and you said, wouldn't it be cool if this was a thing? And it's mad to think where we are right now, but, because you started like saying, oh, I've got this idea for fighting and musical and stuff. I was like, that's silly. That won't work. And then we kind of went, actually, this does sound cool. We'll try and work it into something, and then it does work. So now, we've kind of got a format of how we do that, and it's interesting because when we started doing the music, I suppose we weren't thinking about the fights entirely.
No,
we had we focused more about the feeling than the actual moves themselves, because the rhythms from the fight will come not just from us, but also from whoever choreographs them as well.
So at the time when we started writing this musical, there was the actual concept that I'd had in the back of my head for the last 3 years, because I thought about doing this musical from before we started combat. But in my head then, it was going to be about the Maasai tribes and the kind of like Zulu warriors type stuff, because I had a fair deal of interest in that. But something along the line made me go, maybe some other fighting cultures might work. Vikings is pretty cool, that sort of thing. But I was thinking more general broad brushstrokes at this stage. So I was really happy that I wanted to work with you, because we just finished writing a film together and it went really well. And I just finished doing a really, really bad musical in London, but with the best people ever. It was like the concept and the stuff wasn't great because of the producer that was running it, trying to basically act like a dictator. But the other people involved, the creatives involved, were absolutely brilliant, and I loved them to bits. And we got on really well, so much so that we decided to go out for a meal. I went out to dinner with them, and then we met up again a month after the show had finished to just chat life, basically. And Vicky, who had been kind of like, I want to say the composer, because she did the music, but it was kind of forced on her because she didn't get to compose in the way that she wanted to. She had to adapt her work to fit. So this is an interesting thing. I don't know if you knew this, Nathan, but for that particular show, the producer had enforced the lyrics on Vicky so that she had to compose to them. But they weren't lyrics. they were verbatim, massive chunks of Jane Austen's original text.
Oh yes, no, I do remember you saying it. Yeah.
And like, so we had to sing basically chunks of Jane Austen that was not made to be music, but was forced into a musical composition by this guy. So yeah, anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I could see that Vicky was talented in her own right, but had basically been let down by the production just as much as anyone else because she's not been able to do what she needed to do. And anyway, we were chatting around this table, and I just brought up into the ether about the fact that you and I were considering doing like a musical of our own about fighting. And I watched Vicky's eyes light up, and she's like, no way. I've been just about to start kind of a musical of my own, and I've been really interested in female Viking warriors. And she's got a big deal of history. Vicky does real life fighting when we do stage fighting. And she's got like a massive interest in swords and Viking warriors, particularly female Viking warriors. And so we were sat at this dinner table, and she was like, no way, you want to write a fight musical, and I'm already starting work on research for female warriors in the Viking Age. I want to do this. And so basically I went, right, I really want to work with Nathan. You're great at kind of composing and arranging stuff, right? Well, how about the three of us meet up and let's do this thing? Which is when you and I went up to Colchester on October 2019, I think it was, to meet Vicky for the first time.
And then it all kind of sprung off from there. Like, that first meeting was so electric.
I know. It was like a bonfire had just started.
Yeah, because we essentially, a lot of what's in the musical now was made on that first day. I'm not talking about like music, I mean in terms of the ideas and how we wanted it to happen. It's the core of it is still there because we bounced off each other so well.
Yeah, there were so many twists and turns. The main plot ideas, the center of the kind of like story about female warriors and all that sort of stuff has stayed true to the core.
Yeah, and then since then, obviously gone away and done her own thing. But I'll always remember that first meeting because the feeling firstly, because that was like one of the first times since graduating that we'd actually been creative again properly.
Yeah.
So that was a big buzz, but also the fact that it's something new. It's certainly something new for me. I don't know how it felt for you because obviously you're a composer and you're used to composing stuff, but it's a new, it just felt really electric, felt new, it felt exciting, and I'll never forget that first meeting. It was so good.
I mean, I just still remember that buzz. And again, for me, I really enjoyed seeing the look on Vicky's face because she had been working on the previous one for the last 2 years and basically at every turn had been crushed. I felt really sorry for what she had to go through. But she said to us afterwards, don't apologize for anything. You've given me like such joy just being able to work in this manner and like being able to work and actually get inspired and enjoy writing music again.
Yeah, that was really lovely. And then from that springboard into discussing the plot and what it's going to be about. And I think that's been the most, for me personally, obviously being a writer, but that's been the most interesting part is building the story, but based on fact or based on historical fact.
I think I've come to the conclusion now that our musical, because it neither lies fully in history or fully in fiction, I think I'm going to kind of go with it's an appreciation of Viking culture.
Yes, yeah. But that I think appreciation is a good word because obviously everything that happens, we try and base it. Oh, they've gone. We've based it in something. But then at the same time, you could say like a lot of stuff is based in a world. It just so happens that our world is a real one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just creating a new story within an already established historical context.
Yeah, and I think then after that, I can't remember if it was prior to our meeting or after we just had our first meeting, but I think it might have been before. Out of nowhere, I had this little melody just appear in my head that I sang into my phone, and it went. And that just kind of appeared from nowhere. And I was like,
Hmm.
huh, that's pretty Viking-y. I like that. And then obviously over the last year and a half, that has been developed into this massive, epic orchestral kind of, a big like Viking war drums and metal, and it's awesome. Absolutely.
And obviously I think that was after our first meeting, because we had a lot of in our first meeting with Vicky, a lot of what we came up with was traditional musical theatre kind of stuff.
Yes.
Which is what we needed. But then something like that, where you just played, is definitely more off that spectrum. So yeah, I think that came out after it. But then, so the way we've been working, it's been difficult. But we kind of worked in lockdown before lockdown was a thing.
Yeah, we did. We used to remote working.
Yeah, so we kind of had, because obviously me and you lived close, but then Vicky lives far away. So the way we'd work would be, we'd come up with something, send it to Vicky, and then she'd go, yeah, this is great, this is not. And then we kind of bounce off each other that way. So in terms of how COVID has affected it, we kind of did it before anyway, so it hasn't affected it too much.
I think in the most part, we've pretty much carried on as usual. It's only these recent bits where I'm like, I really need to be there to be able to point out which notes I mean, because I can barely hear what's being played through Facebook or through Zoom, that it gets a bit frustrating.
Yeah, that's where it gets frustrating. But saying that, we're trying to do an early demo album, but we're doing it remotely as well, which is really, really difficult. But also, what we've had so far sounds insane. So,
I mean, it's a good testament to everyone who's been involved that we've been able to get this far, to be honest. Like, I'm quite impressed at everyone's work. But just as I've thought of it, can we go on a sidetrack just for a second and go back to that first day? Because I don't know if you remember, Nathan, but there was a certain tune that was written on that day that had certain lyrics that have since been cut because they were inappropriate. Do you remember what that was?
Fish.
Yeah, so essentially, to sum up that little small song, I had decided from the off that I wanted some involvement of basically like cod liver oil type thing. Oh, we've just had a message.
What would be your dream cast for the musical? As in, like, who would you have play each character from well-known musicals and Broadway shows and all that we see now? Who would you have as each character? Also, explain the characters, because
yeah, I want to finish my point first, and then we definitely need to get onto that, because that's good. So yeah, from the off, I wanted there to be some involvement of like cod liver oil type stuff, because I'd recently just learnt that the reason that Vikings were actually stronger than the population at that time was because of their dependency on cod liver. And so we really wanted to put in like their traditional dish, essentially, of fish liver stew. And that, when it's abbreviated, came out as fish stew, which came across as fish stew. So those were cut pretty early on. we didn't want to keep them.
You say that. We started building the song, and I think it was about a month in, then someone suddenly went, doesn't this sound like fish stew? And then we all went, oh, yes, it does. But we went a month.
No, I think you were there from the off, Nathan, because I remember playing at the piano when we were writing that song, and you cackling with glee when you realised it sounded like fish stew, and then singing that louder than ever.
I'm such a child.
Anyway, let's get on to the question, because that was a good one. So, characters of our musical. Do you want to briefly outline who is who, and then we'll talk about who we would, in a dream world, like to play each part?
Okay, so I'd argue main character is Magenhild. Would you agree?
Of course, she's pretty much the centre of the show.
There you go. Cool. Just checking. Yeah, so Magenhild. Magenhild is the leader, not queen, of Birka, which is a trading town in Scandinavia. And she's recently come into power, shall we say, and doesn't know how to deal with it. So it's a youngish role. It's similar to Queen Elizabeth II in a way, in terms of how she came into power. It was unexpected. She was young, didn't really know how to handle it. So there's a lot of similarities in that sort of way. So should we just say Claire Foy?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So that's character.
Next one would be Ingrid, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So Ingrid is Magenhild's sister, who is definitely more built for power and is definitely more confident that people like her more. Essentially, that's also Margaret. Have we just done the Crown, the musical, but in the Viking times? I've just realised.
Well, I mean, the Crown wasn't out, I don't think, when we were writing this, was it?
Oh, it very much was, but I haven't watched it until recently. Well, I mean, the royal family were definitely a thing before we started writing this.
Yeah, but as we've established, they aren't the royal family in our musical because feudalism didn't exist in the time period that we've written it in.
Yeah, so okay, so then that's Ingrid. Then we've got Einar, who is the love interest of Magenhild. Einar is a lowly farmer, very much lower in status to Magenhild, who is a love interest, but also is now forbidden because she's now got the highest status in all of the town and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got, oh gosh, my mind's gone blank. Freya. We've got Freya.
Freya.
How
Freya. She's basically a Slavic slave that would have been part of their culture. So she's middle-aged, but she's grown up most of her time in Birka, and she belongs, for want of a better word, to Einar.
Yes. But she's very outspoken, I'd say.
Yeah, I would consider her kind of like the townspeople's sweetheart. She is the what's her name from Loose Women? Is it Lorraine?
Yes.
I would say she's kind of like the Lorraine of the village.
Mm-hmm.
People go to her with their problems, that sort of thing. Then we've got King Ovi, of course, who is actually a king. Like we said, feudalism didn't exist, but King Ovi is trying to impose it. So he can kind of establish his dynasty through his bloodline, hence the name of our musical, Blóðlína. And King Ovi and his son, Leif, belong to the rival town of Grimmelheimer. And that is basically the big dark place that nobody likes to go. Essentially, we've modelled it a little bit on Lion King.
Yes.
Consider Grimmelheimer the place of the hyenas and King Ovi as Scar, and we're pretty much set.
I'd go with that. Be prepared, man.
But unlike his father, I would say that Leif does not belong in that sort of environment. He's very much a poet and a thinker, and he doesn't appreciate the violence that's around him, and kind of want to break free from that. And
there's also the interesting thing of intelligence in a war-based town. I think that's a nice contrast there. It's fish out of water story, which is nice. I like that.
Well, I definitely think the musical deals with a bunch of like political topics as well as like general cultural things.
Yes, yeah, 100%. Next, I'd go with Mother Frigga.
Mother Frigga, Thor, and Loki kind of come as a package, don't they?
Oh, they do. Yeah. So we obviously, being part of the Nordic religion, there are gods. And what's a Viking musical without their gods? So we've introduced Mother Frigga, Thor, and Loki as characters, mainly for comic relief, but also as kind of like narrator characters as well. Anytime in where something needs explaining, but not in terms of like expositional, but if we wanted to do something in a slightly different way, then we've introduced Thor and Loki as comic relief, but also as narrators as well. So but the interesting thing we've done with those is that it's teenage Thor and Loki, so they're not quite, the gods that they're renowned to be yet.
They're more irresponsible.
They're really moody, and they're kind of going through their almost like their puberty phase, which is really funny. And
they're always at each other's throats. I mean, those characters are dear to our hearts because currently we are playing them.
Yes, that is very true. Very true. But in this experiment, we will not be, I'm assuming, or are we putting ourselves with Broadway royalty?
No, for this exercise, I think we'll just choose celebs.
Okay, cool. just like the acting industry already does. Now, what should we do next?
Yeah. So brief overview of the remaining characters. We've got King Omund. Oh, well, he's not king, sorry, Jarl Omund, who is the father of Magnhild and Ingrid, who died. Sigurd, who is the leader of their little town's army. He's an old crotchety man. We have Gunilla, who is a disabled Viking, and she basically doesn't take any slack for it. She carries on as normal, and she's generally a very bubbly, lovely person. We've got Eric, the salmon trader, who is exactly as he sounds. He's a salmon trader. Yep. He's just a jolly townsperson. And then I think we've got one more, but I'm scraping the barrel of my mind to try and find it.
It's got to be it, isn't it?
Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just making other characters up.
Yeah, don't start doing that now. We've already written it.
Oh, wait. I've already started on the second one, mate.
Of course you have.
Genuinely have. I've been stuck waiting for things. And I can't anyway, so yeah, the people that we'd like to play them in an ideal world, who would it be?
Now, so I'd argue that Magnhild has to be someone like a Claire Foy, to be honest, that kind of age.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna scrap the idea that they know how to fight as well. If they can, great, but we're not gonna let that stop us.
I think it's more single, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Do you know someone like an Amanda Seyfried? You know.
I'm literally Googling singing actresses because my knowledge of industry personnel is so bad. I can't remember who can sing and who can't.
Zendaya might be a good shout.
Oh, yeah. For Magnhild? Or...
no, for Ingrid, I think.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, she definitely strikes me as more of an Ingrid than anyone else.
Yeah.
If anyone, Lady Gaga might be a Magnhild.
She'd be a great Magnhild.
What are we thinking for Einar?
Okay, so it's got to be someone slightly weedy.
Yeah. But
still kind of lovable. Someone with like the personality of Josh Gad, but not Josh Gad.
Oh, apparently Eddie Redmayne can sing. He'd probably make a good Einar.
He's in Les Mis, isn't he?
I haven't seen Les Mis, the film.
How dare you!
I saw like a couple of minutes of it and went, nope, I'm good, thanks. I'd seen the stage version and nothing can top it. The only recorded version of Les Mis that can top the stage version is the 40th anniversary on Live in Concert.
That is very true. Because
that was phenomenal.
That was very good. Going really off topic. I think that was pretty good though, because I thought Hugh Jackman, although his vibrato is a bit annoying, I thought he did a good job. Eddie Redmayne's great.
Hugh Jackman's vibrato was so weird. I mean, I love him to bits, but his vibrato is so weird. I don't even know how he makes noise.
Because you can't imagine that's natural. Like, there's got to be forced, but then why would you force it to do that?
Yeah. Anyway, enough hating on celebrities. Let's carry on casting them.
It's just an observation. It's not negative.
So, yeah, I mean, to be fair, Eddie Redmayne could play Einar because, I mean, he is a little bit kind of bashful and awkward and whatever, so that could work.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Maybe someone slightly younger, possibly, but you're on the right lines. Yeah. No, we'll go Eddie Redmayne. Why not? King Ovi.
Well, see, King Ovi's natural voice type is a kind of like Barry White, so there aren't many people who can take on that vocal.
No. Now, I'll tell you who can. Did you see Tim Minchin and Ben Foster's version of Jesus Christ Superstar?
No, I didn't.
But he is amazing, and his voice is crazy. His name is Pete Gallagher.
I think I recognise the name.
So he, the other thing I know him from, he plays Danny Driscoll in the Only Fools and Horses musical. But his voice is incredible, and it's booming. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
What about Leif?
Leif.
He'd have to be quite a young performer.
Yeah. I'm trying to think young.
Oh, what about the guy that plays Lafayette in Hamilton?
Yes, that's very true. Yes.
He'd make a good Leif, because you've got to consider the lines that Leif sings as well are quite... what does Vicky keep... she keeps referring to it as? She keeps referencing something. She says it sounds like... Oh, gosh, I'm so bad with names. This is a really bad question to ask me because I can't remember who anyone is in the industry. Come back to me on that one because it'll be there in my mind somewhere.
Yeah, but I think maybe Donald Glover as well.
Oh wait, Jamiroquai. That was it.
There you go.
So it's got to be someone who has a voice similar to Jamiroquai because that's what Vicky keeps saying that this song sounds like. So if we cast anyone as Leif, then it would have to be somebody who sounds like Jamiroquai.
Okay. Well, then, ideal world, we'll just cast Jamiroquai.
I mean, is he young enough to play Leif?
I don't. I mean, fair enough.
Depends how old we make his dad, King Ovi.
Yeah, that is very true. Very true. But yeah, I'd go with that then. I think Donald Glover would be quite good.
Yeah. For the person that's just joined us, we're basically fantasy casting our musical at the moment, and who would fit each part.
I'm trying to think. So it has to be someone who's young, but then also got an air of uncertainty about them and questioning.
Yeah, but I reckon the guy that played Lafayette in Hamilton would probably make a good casting for Leif.
I think so. Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that then.
Do you know his name?
No, I can't remember. Top of my head, I can't remember.
Well, we're getting more listeners, so if anyone knows the name for the person who played Lafayette in Hamilton, drop us a voice note so we can remember who it is. Okay, so we've cast like half of the musical. Who've we got left? We've got Mother Frigga, Thor, and Loki, right?
Yeah.
Who would be your casting spokes?
Mother Frigga, I 100% want like Lizzo or I'm trying to think like Alexandra Burke maybe.
But Mother Frigga's such a big personality in the show that you'd want someone who is like really like just massive, in terms of like stage presence.
Yeah, I guess so. But we've got a voice note.
David Diggs played Lafayette.
Oh, David Diggs.
That's it.
Yeah. So definitely David Diggs for Leif, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Good cast.
Yeah, Queen Latifah maybe.
I was thinking Queen Latifah for Mother Frigga.
Yeah,
there's something about it that would work so well for that part.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we put Queen Latifah in Mother Frigga, then who would be Thor and Loki?
We've
got to bear in mind that in terms of like casting, when people do families and stuff, the gods in my mind do not have to look anything like each other.
No, 100%.
Especially as Mother Frigga's their stepmom anyway.
Yeah. That's very true. So essentially, because obviously it's thrash metal, would we want like a thrash metal singer?
I mean, potentially. I mean, half the idea of the musical is that we're going to get people to learn how to sing that particular style. We're going to try and cast people who can sing it, but if those people that can still sing incredibly well in musical theatre, we'll train them to sing with Scream with the guys over at Extreme Vocal Institute.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Oh, I don't. We've got another voice note.
Good morning, guys. Nice to see you on here talking about musicals. I am personally a West End performer, obviously not at the moment because there is no such thing. Worked on shows such as 9 to 5, Tina Turner, the musical, and I've also worked backstage on Hamilton. But yeah, this is interesting. Tell me more about your musical. Follow me on Instagram. I've got a Stereo account linked to my account on here. Be interested to know what's going on, and I want to personally thank you for being creative, writing new stuff, because I feel like that when theatre comes back, it's going to come back with a vengeance, and I can't wait. So thank you very much. Follow me on here. I'll follow you back, and welcome to Stereo.
Thank you, Keith. That was really nice. I mean, this is literally our first day on the app. Yeah. So a little bit about Blóðlína. We've been writing over the last year and a half, and we're hoping that by the time that theatre comes back, like you, we've been out of work for a while. We're hoping that by the time that theatre comes back, we can get it on stage. So Blóðlína is a Viking fight musical, for want of a better term, about two sisters who inherit their father's legacy. We come from a stage combat background. So essentially what we were exploring when writing this thing, and we've written the full musical, it's like 22 songs, we were exploring what it looks like to set fights to music and set music to the rhythms of fights. So it's based in symphonic metal, but it kind of dips around a couple of other genres. So that's the briefest I can summarize it.
Yeah,
Anything you want to add, Nathan?
anything to add? No, you're always so good at summarizing things. I literally that's kind of the basis of it. But in terms of where we are right now, we've got a demo album going right now, which we're trying to, complete. Not in a studio or anything, obviously. So we're trying to do it, just sending stuff to people, then sending us back and forth and that kind of stuff. So it's difficult doing the demo album, but that's kind of where we are right now. We're just waiting to start. We're waiting. We're actively pushing now, and we're going to start pitching, hopefully, to everyone, I guess, soon. So yeah, that's kind of where we are at right now.
Yeah, it's been really decent. I think, as bad as quarantine has been, it's been really helpful because we've had some lovely, lovely people, talented people lending their voices, their instruments and all sorts to it. And so that's been really great. And yeah, in fact, actually, in 10 minutes time, I am supposed to be on a Zoom call with a metal guitarist. So we're going to have to end this thing soon. But
Yeah.
appreciate you joining in and listening in. It's been
Yeah,
great.
thank you.
Last bit of casting, Nathan. Who would we put in the parts of Thor and Loki?
Right. So I would love to have I think it's Tom Walker. He's got like a really gravelly tone to his voice, which is really, really lovely. I'm trying to think of like bands with insane vocalists. Like obviously you'd want like guy from Guns N' Roses. It's that kind of sound.
Yeah. In terms of like character personality, I was thinking, have you seen the SpongeBob musical?
Yes, of course I have.
I mean, yeah, I'm almost want the guy who plays SpongeBob to play Loki.
That's very good. Ethan, I think, is his name.
Yeah, and the guy who played Patrick to be Thor. I feel like it's a similar sort of dynamic and relationship that they've got going on to what our characters do.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. We've got another voice note. Hang on.
Well, I suppose my first question is there anywhere we can hear the music? Do you have any demos online at the moment, maybe on YouTube? And secondly, brilliant. I mean, historical musicals are very popular at the moment. Obviously, you have Hamilton, you have Six the musical, doing very well in the West End when it's allowed to perform. That musical's having a bad time at the moment, but yeah, excellent. Sounds really, really interesting. I actually am Nordic. I did a DNA test. Norway is my homeland, so this is right up my street, and I'm a little bit ginge. So yeah, excellent. I'll be interested to hear all about it. Can't wait to be on the original cast recording. Just saying. I'm joking, of course. Have a great day, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day on stereo or whatever you are up to.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Keith. Yeah, so although something isn't online just yet, we're still in the process of making the demos, but as soon as we've got kind of our rough demo album together, then yeah, we'll be putting it out online. And I guess if you're following us on here, then when we come to put it out online, we'll chat about it then, I guess, Nathan?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We'll be promoting the hell out of it.
Trying to get producers involved and all that sort of thing.
Well, anyone involved, and just because we're so passionate about it, and we want it to do well and show it to as many people as possible. So of course we're going to be promoting it as much as we can. So yeah, but no, I think SpongeBob and Patrick for Thor and Loki, those two actors, that dynamic is definitely right. Yeah.
So there we go. We've got our celebrity fantasy cast.
Yes,
we'll jot them down, and if we ever get to the casting, then I guess they'll be our first picks. Whoopi Goldberg and Lady Gaga, if just in case we happen to work with.
Yeah, we'll put it forward to them. We'll see what they say.
Yeah, no harm in asking.
Exactly. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Indeed. Well, it's been lovely to chat to you this morning, Nathan. I'm going to have to jump off now to actually talk to our session guitarist who will be playing on the demo album, which is exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to keep him waiting. So it's been lovely to talk to you.
Absolutely.
And I guess we'll chat about the musical again some other time.
Absolutely. I mean, we're in lockdown right now. It'll probably be tomorrow.
Yeah. Catch you tomorrow then.
Yeah. All right. No worries.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone, and see you later, Nathan.